Good afternoon and welcome to everyone. I am Reverend Cindy Grimes, and you are tuned into Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. And I am so glad that you could join us today. And whenever you're watching, clocks went back last night. So if you're online with us right now, you remember to not go back, but go forward. So I'm glad you could make it and join us this afternoon. We are continuing our program on the Revolutionary Love Project by Valerie Kaur and talking about wonder. And let me bring that up so you can see what I'm talking about. The name of the book is See No Stranger, a manifesto, a memoir and manifesto of revolutionary love. And we started this conversation about 2 weeks ago, and we are talking about wonder today. So I will be joined by a few lovely individuals from Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. I'll try to give you a little bit of diversity in age and whatnot. So I'm excited about this, continuing our conversation today. So let me tell you a little bit about who we are, if this is your first time joining us. And so these are our values at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. The number one thing on our list is spiritual growth and practice. It is the purpose that we come together, is to learn and to grow together spiritually and to learn new practices that help our lives work better. And we value love. We're talking about revolutionary love for the rest of this year. And that is the love of Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Jesus and all of the great spiritual teachers. We're talking about how we embody that here and now in our everyday lives. And we value appreciation, that everything starts with gratitude. And we value community. We value freedom and creativity. We value health and wholeness, and we're talking about in all realms. We're talking about your spiritual life, your emotional life, your physical well-being. We value generosity as well and financial well-being. And our mission at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala is to provide spiritual tools and practices for personal and global transformation. And that is essentially the same as the mission of the larger organization of Centers for Spiritual Living. We are just one of over 400 centers that are located throughout the United States and the rest of the world. And our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And that's a big statement. That is saying that we believe that we come into this world as already divine, perfect beings. And our task is kind of to remember that. That's why we come together in spiritual community, to remind ourselves of that truth. And our vision is a world that works for everyone. And that means it works for me, it works for you, it works for your loved ones. And if it doesn't feel like that right now, that's why you're here. So you can see how you can participate in creating that world that works. And so I'm going to bring in my dear friend and the practitioner from Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, Donna Davis. Hello, Miss Donna.
Hello. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. I'm so happy to see you. Our
It's nice to
regulars
see
know
you.
that you are tuned in from New York City.
I am. I'm in Brooklyn,
You're in
Coney Island, actually. Coney Island. I
California.
think Coney Island's in Brooklyn. Half the time I'm like confused because we go through several, that's the five boroughs. I'm
Yeah.
just starting to learn what that is. So I'm sure you know it being from New York.
Yeah. So you found yourself a nice little cubby, a little place where you can broadcast from.
Yes, I'm in an office right now, and I told them I was taking my lunch, and my Sunday lunch. I just do it online with you guys, so it's exciting.
I'm just always so grateful and honored that you're taking your time. I mean, you get like hardly any break, and for you to spend your time with us this way, I just so appreciate it. And
Oh, absolutely. I have so much fun doing this. It's my life's blood, if you will. I'm just a seeker of truth and knowledge, and so that's why I keep doing it.
and I'm so glad that we get to be the recipients of that. So I'm going to let you take it over for a little bit as you pray us in, and we'll bring
Absolutely.
the rest of our panel.
All
All right.
right. Well, happy Sunday. And a friend of mine always says happy Friday. And so I decided it was Sunday today. Happy Sunday to everyone. And I am just so honored to be here with you this morning and just sharing and dropping us into that wonderful space of receptivity. And so that is what we're going to be doing right now. I'm just going to angle this here so you can see my bowl. And we brought the crown chakra bowl all the way from Florida with us all the way to New York. So I'm going to be playing that. And this one is 121 hertz for the crown chakra Tibetan bowl. And it's the B, the note of the B, and just dropping into connectivity with the allness that is as we center down in today's lesson. So join me if you will. Just allow your body to settle into its seat and just breathe into that space of divine love. I recognize the allness of the one beautiful first cause, creative life energy that lives, moves, and has its being in all things. It is the in, it is the out, it is the up, it is the down. It is the past, the present, the future. It is everything, everywhere. I call this allness God. It's the God of my youth, the God of my tomorrow. That eternal beingness that is the one, living and moving and having its being everywhere present, perfect. And because I know that I exist in this very seat I am sitting in, breathing the air that I'm breathing, connecting to the space that I am taking up in this chair, I know that I am also a part of the allness. And every wonderful thing that is God is also me. That perfection that is the one is also me. The wholeness that's the one is also me. And so I know that if it's true for me, it's true for everyone else. And as we speak today about revolutionary love, the allness that shows up as this beautiful author who penned through divine energy the book, the conversation as the words leave my lips and touches the ear of my partner on this panel, which touches their heart as they respond. And the people who get to listen to this message, remembering who we all are, that we are all a part of the one. And we start to recognize the one in each and every person we encounter, even when they do not recognize it themselves. The fog is lifting and we are remembering that we are divine energy, perfect as the one showing up, living and moving and being in this experience that we call humanity. It's from that place of oneness that I say thank you so much. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my neighbors and friends. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for the lessons remembered and the lives that are touched. And thank you for this very next breath and the next heartbeat and the next sunset and sunrise and for life itself. And I release all of these thoughts into the law, knowing that the law is always working for the upward trajectory of each and every one of us as we begin to learn and grow and evolve. And I release it now, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you again for always just bringing
Wow.
us right into that beautiful space.
I have a secret to tell you. In the middle of me working, and running around on the floors and doing my thing, I look forward to this moment of just dropping in. And I tell myself, I'm doing it for them. I'm not. I'm doing it for me. I just happen to say it out loud so that you guys can hear it. I'm doing it for me, really.
That's awesome. I know you just got to, as a nurse, create your own little oasis where you are in the midst of all of that crazy and
Oh, absolutely. And we each have our own way of dealing. They have this beautiful little chapel here, that's just wonderful. You get to just walk into that sacred space and just feel the vibration that's there. And just sometimes on the floor, you find like a little cubby hole somewhere that you just stop and just take a breath. And I keep telling myself that time is just a construct. And in this moment, I have all the time to take this breath. And I just, in that moment, just drop into the heart space and just in gratitude for myself and for just the job. Because without these patients, there is no job.
Hmm.
And even with the challenges, I still love being a nurse.
Hmm. You're where you need to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's all in the family today again. So let's
I
bring
know.
of our folks here. So we're gonna bring in your sweetheart
Hello.
and our other practitioner, Norma Anderson. This is the Andrevis team here.
Andrevis. Mm-hmm.
And they're not a sprout. Where is she? A Laurie. Yes.
Hi.
Semblance there with the smiles of mother-daughter. And that's the Laurie Davis. And let's bring in Corinne Dean, who is on our board at CSL Ocala.
Hello, hello.
Yes, so good to see you, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
It's so wonderful. So we are continuing our conversation about wonder.
Yes.
Yes. Did y'all remember you do a little bit of your homework?
Well,
Yes.
well,
Well, let
there
me
was
tell you
homework.
what the practice was. What the practice was to go through your day-to-day kind of life and just apply that idea as you looked at people like you are part of me that I do not yet know.
Oh, I did that homework then.
Of course, you
That
do that.
homework I did.
That was the only homework there was. And I thought we just kind of spend our time together talking about where the challenges were in doing that, and where it was easy, where it was hard, what you learned about yourself. So I thought, I don't know, did everybody do it at least a little bit?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I had a hard time doing it. I'll be honest with you. I'm really during the week now still at home most of the time. So I'm not out where there's a lot of people. And the couple of times when I went to the grocery store or whatever that I didn't remember in the moment. It was always after, like, oh, I should have applied it with the checkout girl, and then I could do it at that moment. So that was how I did it, kind of after the fact, like, you are part of me that I do not yet know. So anyway, anybody else have any challenges?
Yes. Because I'm kind of in this room alone all day and I don't really get to see anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My only challenge was that it's something I do all the time anyway, so I didn't even realize I was doing it.
Yeah.
But I had a couple of rough days where I just felt not attacked, but I felt the pain very real. It's such a painful thing sometimes, the frustration of nurses with this whole pandemic thing, and then the frustration of the patients and the frustration of the family and all of that. And then the companies trying to make sure everybody's supported. So then while you're doing all of that, you're stopping to say, oh, by the way, you're part of me that I didn't know. It was just like, that was the challenge of being able to stop in all of it and say, wait, what is this? What am I looking at? So that was, I think, the hardest thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's where a lot of people might say, oh, it doesn't even come in your mind. I'm doing it as a practice because it's what I do when I'm listening to someone, but I didn't recognize I was doing the practice, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on just a little bit people, that can be challenging, right? And
Mhm.
so as we go through this program, we're starting out for the first, I think, three different topics that we're doing. We're talking about applying this idea of revolutionary love to others, right? And then the next three sessions, I think it is, we talk about applying revolutionary love to our opponents, not enemies, although sometimes your opponent can feel like an enemy. An opponent could be somebody that just doesn't, is not up for what you want to do in the moment, right? So there's going to be like a whole section devoted to those more difficult situations. And then, of course, there's applying the revolutionary love to ourselves. So, so wonder, and how we love others, how wonder is that, I think Valerie Kaur says, wonder is the wellspring of love. Like that's the beginning of love for other people is in wondering. So I just love that that's your practice, Donna, anyway.
And I have an amendment to what I said. I haven't been out to see anyone, but yesterday there was a 80-person Zoom call for my 83-year-old aunt's funeral, and of which 90% of the people on the call were Jehovah's Witnesses that don't talk to me. So that was an opportunity for an extension of love.
Right. So how did that go? Go on, Norma.
Well, the ones that did speak to me, other than my family that aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, basically wanted to know information on CJ and how he was doing. And, I gave that information. But towards the end, when they opened the Zoom back up to everyone else, and one of my nieces asked me a question and I answered, and then the moderator, my cousin's husband, muted me. So
wow.
so that I couldn't talk. And then when everybody was about to leave the Zoom call, and I was kind of about to leave too, because I was just kind of listening to everybody else. I hadn't seen many of them in, 20, 30 years. And my cousin, who I lived with from the ages of 12 to 16, 15, started, she says, not directed to me. She wouldn't direct the question directly to me, but she just kind of put it out there that she needs to get CJ's phone number and address. So I just hung up.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So kind of, that's sad.
Yeah.
But you did what you need to do to take care of yourself.
Yep. And, I figure if my son's 35 years old and you don't have his phone number, then it's not my job to give it to you. Go on Facebook like all the rest of the strangers that want to get in contact with him.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. That sometimes I think the relationships in closest to us are the hardest ones with this work, right? Ourselves and, and the people in the next circle out. So, Jehovah's Witness conversation leaders online. Yes, perhaps there'll be a conversation there. Well, how did you all do? How about Corinne, Laurie? How'd it go for you this week?
Well, I tell you, one thing I did notice by approaching people with wonder and thinking of them as the part of me I do not yet know, what I realized was I was talking a lot less and listening a lot more. I encountered that the other day. I was talking to a woman who some people find difficult, and I've always liked her. And so I thought, well, let me get to know her. And, we're just sitting there chatting, and I just listened, and wow, she just was talking and shared a lot of experiences, and some of them traumatic, that I never knew about her. And I felt that wonder and my love for her too. I thought, I love this woman. She's not an easy person, but by listening to her, I just felt more connected to her. So that was my thing, was by looking at people that way, I was talking a lot less, which was interesting.
Nice. Thank you.
Welcome.
Chair, Laurie?
Yeah. most people that know me, I've worked with this thing called social anxiety for a few years and a lot of my life. And since I moved on my own to this house, because of it, I've been like really shutting myself off of the world, like not allowing myself to wonder about my neighbors or about what might be happening outside of my little bubble because it's terrifying. But so that's how I applied it, is I just kind of applied that wonder to the neighbors that were closest to me, because I carried the thought in my mind that people were untrustworthy. So I was like, okay, I'm going to treat these people like family in my mind. I don't have to reach out to them, but I'll treat them like family in my mind. So I'd see them and I'd be like, that's my brother, that's my sister. And it actually really opened up, like you said, wonder is the wellspring of love. I started viewing these people with love. And I started practicing with the thought of my neighborhood is safe. I'm surrounded by safe people. And then I started just seeing little things about them that really it didn't blow me away because it's pretty normal, but it definitely put in my mind, okay, these people are just human beings, regular everyday human beings with their own families, with their own stuff. And I started opening up windows. I started opening up curtains. I started sitting outside some more. I know the neighbors across the street because of their dogs, but just kind of like started talking to them a little bit more. And I don't go in conversations with them, but I don't avoid them like I used to. And I started seeing just the love that they have for one another, like the love they had for their family. And I was like, yeah, that's how my family is, So I've really been practicing with that thought of these people are safe. Nobody's out to hurt me. And just take a moment to wonder what their lives are like, It's really helped me a lot.
Fantastic. Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing, Laurie. How's that feel, Mom, hearing that?
I was just thinking that was just an amazing outpour from Laurie. That was way past any barrier that I have known her to step across in the past. And this is in a matter of a week.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really quite awe-inspiring because you push against this thing called social anxiety with your young people, and you just don't you just can't get them to understand that the fear that it's there, it's just so real for them, and to be able to find something that works to help them wrangle that in, to be able to start to really look at it and then to see their world in a different way so that they can come out of the shadows. And that we can hopefully, when we're having somebody who is a younger person speaking these things out in the world on their own platform and encouraging others, there's healing, real healing that can happen, because young people especially are exposed to so much with the internet and everything like that. They came into this experience and then they're bombarded with all the negativity, and no wonder our young people are so depressed and anxious. We've done it to them as a society. And so now, how can the healing happen? And so it just opened my heart so much to hear Laurie say that, because I know the struggle as a mom trying to say, you're safe, you're okay, you're safe, you're okay. And then boom, in 1 week, it changed. And it's changing. And that's why this work is so powerful. And that's why more people need to know about it.
Yeah, it's definitely changing. Like, you guys got me crying. Like, why y'all bring me on here to cry? But yeah, no, it's definitely changing. And like you guys said, I think that's the absolute truth, is that we were brought into this world and we see so much of it through the internet. And the way the internet's kind of set up is they can make it so that you see certain things, and those certain things scare a lot of young people. Like, it feels like you don't have a chance. Like, there's no chance. But then, it's just kind of amazing how you can apply this principle of wonder and maybe see people outside of the lens of the world is terrifying,
Mm-hmm.
So it'll make me cry.
Mm.
I'm complete.
Oh,
Mm.
it's pretty powerful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing. I knew this was going to be worth doing. I hope, if it just touches one other person to even take on this practice, and see what kind of breakthroughs they have, in
Mhm.
this. Who knows what, it may not end your social anxiety, but start inching you in that, in that direction. And I'm so glad you brought up the thing, Laurie, about the paradigm, the ideas that we're living with. If I was, a 20-something-year-old today, I don't know what kind of shape I would be in without this teaching, because it does look really scary. You turn on the news, you see the social media, all we're seeing is the worst.
And when you think about it, I am one of the extremely lucky young people who were raised inside this village, inside this thinking, and I still struggle with social anxiety. Still, because like my moms, they helped me so much with setting that foundation of, you are like the universe. Everything is the universe, and it's like, okay, manifest your life. I am a master manifestor, and I do have my spiritual practices, something that I hold on to, that I see that a lot of other young people, they don't have that kind of anchor to their divinity like I do. But it's still a struggle. It's still, I'm not going to say struggle. It's still, it's like a trial, like you're moving forward with it. It's like you're always going to be walking upstairs with that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying something, Norma?
I was just adding on to what she was saying. It's a work in progress. It's like anything that we have to fix, change, work on, overcome with challenges. It's all a work in progress. You don't just blink your eyes and then you're fixed. You have to actually put in the work on anything worthwhile.
Well, it's not just the work, that you're putting in. It's just the experience itself. Every day is different. Every challenge is different. Every moment, humanity is different. Tomorrow, there's another disease that could wipe us out. The next day, there's another war that did whatever. And then in the midst of it, you have young people or older people trying to figure out, what is my space? Where do I fit into this whole crazy that is the world? And then you have all these people saying, well, I have no clue. I have never had a clue. Nobody really could tell me anything. I might as well just blink myself off the world, out of the humanity. And that's when you have this danger, suicidal ideation shows up, negative behavior starts happening, trying to just get rid of the, they just want peace. And so you have people, drinking themselves into oblivion, smoking, eating, sex, gambling, you name it, just trying to make some sense of it all, just that moment of peace. Whereas you step into this space of wonder. And then for me, the practice started when I started seeing God everywhere. In everything, I see the power of divine energy working. Cells are turning over. That's why when I became a nurse, I was like, oh my gosh, I can see life itself. If I stand still long enough, I can watch the grass grow. And that's what I held on to. And it's that wonder. I never had a word for it. Like nobody ever put it in words for me to say, oh, this is what this is. I just knew that I was watching energy turn over and the space. And I was in awe of that. And then all the fear started to dissipate. But it's wonder, isn't it?
It is. And it seems like when, no, okay, sorry. There's a little bit of delay on my end. So if I talked over anyone, I apologize. But it seems with the wonder, when you keep focused on what's directly in front of you, and all this stuff out there, all this stuff we see, turn off the news, turn off the internet if you can, and just focus, like Alora, you were saying, you looked at your neighbors, you looked at the people right across the street, and that opened, that opened up things for you because you were looking at what was right in front of you. because I think that helps. Donna, you said watching the grass grow. That's ideal. I'm looking out my window right now. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm watching the energy outside my window, because that's what's right outside. And of course, you lovely ladies right in front of me here on the computer, but I'm not going to pay attention to what's going on, with the vaccines or any of that, because I can't control that. But I can look at what's right in front of me and wonder about it. And I think that helps too. Just looking at what's in front of us at the moment.
And I think one of the key points that you made earlier when you first spoke about what your experience was over the week, Corinne, was that when you were engaging in this practice of wonder, you found yourself talking less. And that, I think, is huge, because in this me society, everybody wants to talk about me, 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 me. Well, if you take a breath, listen, and that's where wonder starts. You let people actually start to talk about themselves, and that'll kind of help close that gap, or that bridge, create a bridge that helps with the wandering and finds commonalities.
Yeah. Yes, because when you find the commonality, someone that you think might be so difficult or so different from you, and you let them talk about themselves and their experience, and you realize, I can relate. This person is me. This is the part of me I do not yet know, and it's a beautiful thing.
And the other thing that you mentioned is that everybody else says that they didn't like this person, so you could have prejudged her based on what everybody else said, whatever, which is what we usually, society, is go by what other people have said about another group of people and make our judgment based upon that instead of finding for ourselves.
Right. That's a big one.
But we have to first recognize our own judgment. And that's the thing. If we don't know where we are, then we can't move forward to where we need to be. Like Reverend Cindy always says, in that GPS, you have to know where you are. And it becomes this very real conversation with you. And nobody has to be in on the conversation. You don't even have to say, yes, I know I'm judgmental, or yes, I know I'm racist. You know it on the inside of your heart and in your mind. And you can then say, but I don't want to be this anymore. How can I now understand and start to rehumanize our neighbors and our friends? And then they don't become the people across the street. It becomes Mrs. Jones with the white dog that loves her dog with the 2 grandchildren, and she loves her grandkids. And oh, by the way, she has the best pictures. And suddenly it becomes this warm feeling. And we keep forgetting that we are doing it to ourselves when we're in that other space, because the hormonal response in your body is all you. It's all me. I'm the one dumping the adrenaline into my body when I'm like, oh God, I'm really afraid of that. And then the adrenaline's going to get dumped in. And then that adrenaline's going to say, you're in danger, fight or flight. Or I can say, maybe this is somebody I've never met before. What if? Blah, blah, blah. And you step into that wonder, and no adrenaline, no flight or fight, none of that. And then suddenly you live in a better world.
Something about we're not responsible necessarily for the first thought that comes to mind, right? You see the other, and because we've been so programmed, right, to be afraid of strangers and be afraid of people that don't look like us or don't talk the way we do or believe what we do, that may be your first thought, because that's what you've been raised, and that's the culture that we're in. So you may not be responsible for that, but you are responsible for the next thought and what you do with that, right? Do you fall into that? Do you just go on business as usual, or do you stop and you examine it and say, is this true? How can I know this about this person? Like, one of the things that I want to suggest is a TED Talk about the danger of the single story. It would be awesome if everybody could watch that. Well, I'll post it on our Facebook page and maybe even show it in the Zoom after this call, so people can start to see. I mean, we're, for a Laurie to feel that kind of terror, our young people, not just a Laurie, right? Like all of us, I think, have sensed that to some degree or another, right? That fear of the other. Where does that start? You know, how do we develop these ideas? You know, and this was part of my TED talk, right? The idea that the news, what most of us are being exposed to as newsworthy, is almost all bad. And
Very
who made
true.
that decision? Who decided that only the bad stuff was newsworthy?
Yeah.
Right? But they don't send out, news teams to go out to cover the great stories, just the really awful ones. So anyway, Donna.
Ooh.
Darn it. What the heck just happened?
That
Well,
was scary.
I know this happened last week. It was weird. Like, it only gives you so much time. There is a good news station, Lita is saying. You should put it in the chat, Lita. Not in the, yeah, in the chat. Put the name of the good news station where we might find it. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you all, maybe we can go around a couple of rounds quick. When do you find it the easiest to connect with others? To look at somebody and just feel like, oh, they're not a stranger at all. That is like, I'll own that. That's a part of me. Did you have those kind of experiences, or when does that happen for you?
I found that to be the easiest experience for me when the center was open and new people would come in there, because and I made it my mission to walk up to every new face that came in there, to not just say hello, but get a name, find out what I could of their story in the short amount of time that we had, and make that personal contact. And sometimes that bleeds over into my regular life, but it was always easiest at the center.
At the center. And can I ask
can
you
see
why
that.
do you think that is? Why at the center, Norma?
I think, one, because I am one of the leaders, so I felt it my responsibility to reach out and welcome, new people. But if they're coming to the Center for Spiritual Living, they already have a mindset of somewhat inclusivity. So it was kind of already, the door already cracked open for me. So it wasn't very difficult to broach that subject or walk up to these people.
Yeah.
And it seems too, you were in a safe environment. I mean, it's your sanctuary, the center.
It came into my home. So, it was.
Right. Yeah. I know if I'm feeling confident, I have a much easier time opening to other people. That does help. So, but I can't always be in my comfort zone. So I guess I need to keep paying attention to that and seeing, maybe pay more attention to when it is easier or more difficult. But I can say, looking at the experiences this past week, I was in my comfort zone and I was able to really open up to viewing other people with wonder.
That's an interesting point. I think, Corinne, is just in assessing where you're at in the moment. It may not even have anything as much to do with the other person as it does where
Right.
you happen to be in that moment. Are you feeling good?
Right.
Are you hangry? Are you, whatever might be going on in your life?
Right. Or if I'm stressed, if there's pressure, or if I'm feeling stressed about something, it's more difficult to view other people with wonder. They're more of a nuisance. Get out of my way. No, not quite that bad, but it is easier when I'm feeling relaxed. So I guess part of the practice is to be able to center myself in an uncomfortable situation. And that is part of the spiritual practice. And then that allows me to view others with wonder. So again, it starts with me. How am I feeling? And if I'm not feeling comfortable, can I use the spiritual practice to make myself feel more comfortable, and in order to view others? It looks like we lost a Laurie.
Yeah.
So
for me, for a lot of people, a lot of us in our community are energy workers. And a lot of times it's energy that we get from people that may cause us to not approach. Because I got to admit, one or two people that have come into the center that I've just stayed away from. And
there is that.
So that's
I hear you, Norma.
We, as individuals, if that was something I personally had to work on. So we need, like Corinne said earlier, we need to look at ourselves and find out where we're. Oh, that was Donna. Look at ourselves and find out where we're at. Check our own GPS.
Yeah.
It's that positioning system. No, still doing messed up, huh? Okay.
Wow.
Oh.
So weird. You want to sign out and come back in, or did you do it already? Sign out, come back in. How about you, Laurie?
My microphone was already on. Okay. The time that I found it easiest to connect with people in that way is actually, unsurprisingly, when I'm a mermaid, but not for the reason that most people would expect. It's because a lot of the people that are coming to me have children, and children, like, they see you immediately. So I immediately connect with kids in a very authentic way. And those children come with their parents, and the way that those children behave, the way they absorb the fact that I'm a mermaid, is a direct reflection on who has raised them. So when I see this kid, like, for example, there's like this little girl, and she's getting so excited because I'm a mermaid, and she's also getting really excited because of how I look, the size that I am, all of this stuff. And it's just like, wow, I'm like connecting to this little girl, but behind her, directly behind her, is her parent, who is just looking at me, and is just, so much gratitude is coming to them. Like, thank you so much for keeping this dream alive. And I'm like, thank you so much for nurturing this dream within this child, because it's them. Like, I'm here, and yeah, I'm a figure, but it's the parent who's really like watering that little seed. I'm not there every single day to, bring that to that child. So in that moment, I'm kind of just really open to those people, so I can connect with them. And I'm like, I want to see your world. This child is just a reflection of this little world, So that's when I think it's, the easiest for me to connect with people. Children are people too, but adult people. Let's say adult people, because children will connect to you whether you want to or not. They'll come up and ask questions, and it's an open book. Children are open books.
They are. My grandchildren are my best teachers right now. It's so much fun. And it's so great to talk about wonder at this time. The little ones are there. The boys are 3 and 4, and my granddaughter's a year and a half, and everything is new. And even if they've already watched the video 50 times, it's still like, ooh, it's the first time, and they're so excited. And it's so much fun to watch and be reminded of what it's like, to live in wonder and live full out. They don't see strangers. Well, I take that back. There's the one's a little bit more introverted, and everybody but mommy is kind of a stranger. But then there's the other one who, like, will go to anybody, anytime, any place, just interested in what's new. What do you have to teach me? What can I learn here? And it's just so much fun to watch.
We'll straight out ask you. I know which one.
Yeah, you know which one. They're very different. Let's see if Donna can chat now.
Hi, guys.
Yay.
Is that any better?
Yeah, let's get your closing thought.
Oh, goodness. My closing thought is just check your GPS first, your God positioning system. That's what I was talking about. That before you open your mouth, like Corinne said, just check your heart and ask yourself, are you coming from this ego space? Are you coming from your programming, which sometimes it's our programming that's doing it? Or are you coming from that place of love and connection with wonder? And if it's that third place, then now we have a space where magic can happen.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Donna. I just want to acknowledge, one of the first things we teach our kids is to stay away from strangers. And there is reason for that too, right? So somewhere there's that happy kind of medium where we can be in wonder and listen to our inner intuition and our voice, and also know when sometimes that's not a person, or a situation that I want to engage in because it's not for my highest and best, but that also comes from being in the moment and, noticing when you're hooked. I guess it's different, for everybody. I just want to have that little thing of, when I'm telling people to just go out there and just be loving on everybody. I wish the world was really that safe that we could do that, but somewhere there's that happy medium. Speak to
I
that, Donna.
call it discernment.
Discernment, yes.
Discernment. It's not so much that you stay away from strangers, is that you pay attention to the cues of that person and ask yourself, where in their story are they? And like Laurie says, that's their story. Do I want their story to interact with mine? And if the answer is no, then you bless them on their way to go live their story. And the discernment that comes in, that's why you need that God positioning system, because we do have a sixth sense, innate ability to know when somebody is in a dangerous part of their story. We have to do it in nursing all the time. Is this patient safe? Is this patient stable? Are they mentally aware? Alert and oriented is what we'll say. And so I do it with everybody. Are you alert and oriented? Yes. Okay, now we can continue. But you start to learn over time what behaviors are not in alignment with you. And then you just bless them on their way and just kind of do a wide gate around them, But still send loving and blessing and not judgment.
Right. Nice.
That's beautiful. Mm.
Any other closing thoughts? Anything you want to say, Corinne, as we?
I was going to say, just keep going with it.
So we'll keep doing the work, keep doing the practice this week of looking at others as my brother, my sister, my father, my child, and see how that feels. Take it the next level deeper. Yeah. Anything else, Norma or Laurie, before we close out?
So that's saying that our homework continues?
Yeah. And watch the video. I put it in the chat, the link.
I just, wanted to say and encourage, that this is really a skill. Just as we were taught that the world is dangerous, we have to teach ourselves that, the world is not inherently a dangerous and scary and terrifying place. There is love and there is good in this world and in these people's individual world. So it's just a skill to remember that and apply that practice. And there are some times where you don't live up to your expectations, and to just be gentle with yourself and apply it next time.
So wise, so much wisdom from someone so young. Should be proud, mamas. Yeah. So I think what you just said, Laurie, reminds me, the one more thing I want to say in closing out is the idea of trust. Somebody brought it up earlier, how important it is to trust and to start learning to trust ourselves, to have that discernment, right? Like I may not know today what I'm going to do in whatever situation I come across tomorrow or next week or whatever. But I have the trust, I have the faith that I'm going to have what I need in the moment, right? I'm going to know what to say. I'm going to know how to react. I'm going to know what needs to be done. And I can sit in that and I don't have to worry anymore. Right? Just trusting that I'm going to be guided. Right? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. Thanks again for another awesome chat. I don't know who's going to stay on with us, but it would be awesome if everybody could, I know, Donna, you just taking your lunch, you probably need to take 5 minutes to have something to eat. But we'll be on
I
Zoom.
ate earlier, so I'm probably going to pop on just for a few moments to say hi to everybody.
Fabulous. That would be awesome. I'm sure everyone would love to see you and hear the updates on CJ and Norma's son, who was in a wreck and is at home recovering now. So, all great news. So, thank you, ladies, again. Love you. And we're going to close out here with our prayer and invite people to join us in Zoom. So, somebody, maybe, I don't know, Norma, can put that in the chat. Can you do that? Actually, I think I can do it from this end. So, let's wrap this up. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit. So, what we have going on now, just thank you all for being with us for this long. And we do our offering prayer. It would be wonderful if you would share your gifts, your generosity. You know, it's one of the things that we value. And the fact is that, you know, we have expenses just like everything else out there, every business, every organization. And so we rely on, and we are here because of the generosity of the members and the people who believe in our vision and mission that allows us to keep doing the work that we do. So we'll have it scroll across the bottom here. And there are a couple of ways that you can give to the Center for Spiritual Living. You can text from your phone to the number that's scrolling across the bottom on your cell phone. The number is 352-320-5110. And when you call that number from your text, or not call it, but when you you text message that number, you can put in the amount of money that you want to give the center, and it will go from your bank account to ours as soon as it's set up. And so that makes it really easy and wonderful for us. Or you can go to cslocala.org/donate. And that is another way. And so here is our affirmation, and I invite you to make it your own. It is the nature of life to give of itself. As it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom, it is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing. I am grateful. That is a fact, y'all. I am blessed, and I like to think that I'm a blessing. I hope that I am a blessing to others. And let's see, let me put up the Zoom information so that you all can see our Zoom conversation after this at 4 o'clock. The ID for that meeting is 637-667-6847, and the password is spiritual. And it's probably on our page as well. You're not going to be able to click from this link, it's just a picture. So what else have we got here? I think that's about it. We will close with our prayer for protection. And again, I'm going to invite you to watch that video. The link is in the chat about the danger of the single story. And we will be picking up on this conversation about wonder for the rest of the month. And just hope that you'll join us next week in person, or whenever you get to watch, or come and join us on Zoom. And so here is the prayer for protection. Again, make it your own. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And I just know and affirm that all is well for you this week, that any challenges you may be facing turn into stepping stones to your greater yet to be. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a fabulous week, everyone. Thanks for joining us.